Claude Code is probably the most powerful agentic tool on the market right now because it's so versatile and could do almost anything you can think of. But if you're not using it the right way, you're hardly going to tap into a small percentage of what it can actually do for you. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to manage Claude Code's behavior, how to give it rules for how it acts. So not only will your output be way better quality than without these rules, but you'll also save a ton of time. So a little about me, I'm a solopreneur. I build online, I make content, I teach, I share what I learn. And for the last 12 months, I've been learning AI. I've been using Claude Code for 6 months now. And just like with anything, incrementally just get better and better. But the cool part about getting better with AI tools is that the tools are also getting better as well. These models are just getting exponentially more powerful. So we're in a moment right now where if you can really learn to harness a tool like Claude Code, you can really position yourself ahead of the curve, ahead of your competition, and just put yourself in a good place for the future. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive in. So in this video and tutorial, we are going to direct Claude Code to automate anything we want or can imagine for our businesses. You can apply these same skills to coding or any other kind of project you're doing. But in this video, we're going to focus on business-facing stuff. So everything I share in this video is predominantly focused on online builders and solopreneurs because that's what I am. That's what I use Claude Code for. But these same concepts and tools that you can use within Claude Code can be applied to anything you want, including developing software, creating apps, things like that. And what does that look like? The old way is you copy and paste stuff from ChatGPT to Google Docs and to Canva, and you send it in an email and you repeat forever. So AI is helpful in this situation, but it's not fully optimized. Context amnesia is the phenomenon that happens when every new AI chat forgets who you are, your brand, your voice, your customers, everything. Claude Code Skills solves this problem. So instead of using the same old manual workflows with the same old prompts every single time, we'll be able to just one-off stuff. And ultimately get past the ceiling of most of the AI wrappers, all that software that uses powerful AI, but you only have as much functionality as it gives you. We're going to bypass all of those ceilings and walls, if you will, with Claude Code Skills. So quickly put, the shift here isn't about like learning to code or anything. It's about, hey, AI, help me with this task, and then explain it all, to, hey, Claude, you know my shit, build this. Done. And it already knows what it's doing, and it goes. This is what Claude Code Skills, ClaudeMD is going to enable us to do. It's about teaching Claude to work like the assistant you need for your business, one that you can trust. So what we're going to build today as a demo of using Claude Code Skills is we're going to make a ClaudeMD file, which is all the context for behavior of how your Claude Code agent should run. We'll talk more about what that means. We're going to make a skill for launching a product. We will create some assets, a landing page, and a lead magnet, and a 5-email marketing sequence. So we're going to do all of that in this video using Claude Code. And if you've never used Claude Code or even AI before, this is beginner friendly, and I promise you, put a little time into figuring this out, you're going to be able to do it. Okay, so let's do it. Step 1 is you need your command center. This is software called VS Code and Claude Code. If you're new to all this, Visual Studio Code is what's called an IDE, an integrated development environment. It's going to look something like this. In fact, here it is. This is an IDE. We have files over here. We have the open file here, and then we have an AI agent here. Although often we would see more of the AI agent over there, and then the file in here. So I can browse through files here and read them, and then talk to my AI about what's happening in the files and modify them. So this is the Claude Code extension, which you can get in the extensions to search for Claude Code, make sure it's verified by Anthropic, the blue check mark. And then you sign in, and then here we are. So this is a brand new folder here, okay? And I've just got 2 files in here that I'm starting with. Now, hopefully with your business, you've got some kind of documentation somewhere about what your business looks like. So for example, this is the AI Captain's brand design system. This has our messaging, the voice, the colors, the brand gradients, color guides, typography, everything. This is our brand design system. Then here I have a reference file for content creation. So it's context for creating content for the AI Captain's brand and my brand. So it's like, who are our avatars? Who are we talking to? So there's like 4 main types of people I talk to. You're probably one of them if you're watching this video. And then what else do we have? We have what is in the offer. So what is in the AI Captain School classroom? There's a summary of all the curriculum stuff here. And then we have a bunch of frameworks. The frameworks I teach inside the AI Captain's program, some details on those. One of them is, for example, Compass framework, the 7 points of selecting AI tools, evaluating them for your use case, cost, optimization, modularity, privacy, accessibility, systems integration, scalability. Like if you can find your way on the Compass framework, then you can figure out if you're using AI the way you want to. And that is covered more in the school. Values of the brand, writing voice principles, all of this. So everything in here has a whole bunch of data about my brand. This is all context for anything I'm going to do for my business. Okay. These 2 files are like my key files. I have more, but these are what we're going to start with. And those documents have been super effective. They can create on-brand, really good-looking assets, from images to sales pages, everything on brand, and it speaks to the avatar. It knows exactly what to say. It can generate images, it can do everything, and it does it good because I've got those documents and because I put them into ClaudeMD. Now, what is ClaudeMD? This is the first really important thing for Claude Code Skills. You got to have your ClaudeMD figured out. ClaudeMD is basically a little file that Claude Code opens every time you start a new conversation. And in it, you have anything you want to direct the behavior of Claude Code. So for example, a ClaudeMD file will say, okay, when Jordan, the user, says to create a landing page, do it with vanilla JavaScript and HTML, follow these color schemes, follow these guidelines for writing sales copy for these avatars. Here are their pain points. But it doesn't stop there, because ClaudeMD can also have all kinds of rules and workflows built in. So for example, here's an image generation workflow I use. This is a whole workspace I use for the AI Captain's business, okay? So I've got everything like I'm working on in here related to the course. This is everything. And here's the ClaudeMD file, and I'm going to show you what's in it right now. It's got image generation instructions. So to generate an image, we're going to call this URL and send this data, like our prompt for what we want the image to look like, what size we want it, what aspect ratio. You're going to put this at the beginning of every image generation prompt. There's going to be a watermark. Here's how the watermark script works for infographics. Then we've got videos we'll generate. Here's how you're going to do that. You take the image we made, use that as the first frame for the video, send it to the API. How to make presentations. Make the directories look like this. Here are the step-by-step instructions. Okay, so this is all the rules for Claude Code's behavior here in ClaudeMD. But here's the problem. Look how long and big this file is. This is going to be a lot of tokens for the AI conversation to read. Now, why is that a big deal? When you give too much information to your AI, the quality of its output is going to decline. The longer a conversation goes, the worse the quality is going to get. That's just how this technology works on a very simple level. That's also why it forgets who you are with a new conversation. It needs to refresh its context window. So this big ClaudeMD file I use for this whole aspect of my business is going to bloat my context window. So that's where Claude Skills come in. So a Claude skill is essentially this same idea you see here. Step 1, generate images. Step 2, copy originals. Step 3, run the watermark script. Step 4, reference these versions in the lesson files. This is essentially a skill. It is a workflow. And note that there's a lot of other information that goes with that, right? How do you generate the images? What's the watermark script? So instead of loading everything in this file, Claude skills are custom commands. So it'll look something like this. Skill, image, generate on-brand images using my style guide. Instructions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's an example. Each skill means focused context. So it knows not to create the whole presentation in a skill, but just the image so it does it right. You could have skills for writing emails, making presentations, crafting social posts, anything. So for example, here is an on-brand image created for a workshop. All of this comes from the ClaudeMD instructions here. I did not have to say anything besides, in fact, let me show you. Generate a 16 by 9 workshop cover image for Claude Code Skills. So if we're to look in its thinking, it knows to use the image. I didn't say anything. It knows to use the image generation webhook with the brand guidelines. Now, I should have said 1K resolution, save me some money, but whatever. It knows how to prompt it. It knows the themes. Boom. There it is. Cyber Sea Captain. Another example is this email sequence. So based on my ClaudeMD, it writes a whole 7-day post-purchase sequence that I can just pop into ConvertKit. So in this video, we're going to walk through creating a clean ClaudeMD behavioral file with clean Claude Code skills for your workflows. Okay, so now that you understand what ClaudeMD and Claude Code rules are, now let's create our first ClaudeMD file. I've got my Claude Code window open, and I'm going to say, based on these two things, create a lean but detailed ClaudeMD file for this project. Ask if you have any questions. So now we're creating the base context for this entire folder, which means anything happening inside this folder where Claude Code is running in this folder, it is going to pull whatever details it puts into this ClaudeMD file as context. So now we've got some questions here. I'll answer them. What will I primarily use Claude for in this project? I would say both equally. HTML pages, CSS styling, component building, and content creation. Definitely both. Should the ClaudeMD include technical implementation details? Let's focus on, let's be comprehensive. So once we've got our ClaudeMD loaded, we're going to create Claude Code skills. And some of this ClaudeMD file might be cut, once again, to save space for context. It's created a ClaudeMD file. It's got our brand identity in here. It's got our values hierarchy, standard operating procedure. It's got our target avatars, everything I showed you earlier. Email subject line styles, writing styles, everything is there. Lean but comprehensive. Every section is scannable with tables and code blocks rather than prose. All right, it looks good to me. So I am not going to give it any instructions, but now is a good time, if you're doing this at home, to take a look and make sure you like it. By the way, if all of this seems really fascinating to you, but you don't feel like you have the foundations to really do it right, I invite you to check out the AI Captains Academy on School. You can join for free and check it out, but there's a whole curriculum of courses in there that will help you develop the foundation for learning Claude Code. Even if you know nothing right now and you're an absolute beginner to AI, to Claude Code, to everything, we start from the bottom up. I say go from 0 to about 85 in just a couple weeks of working hard. So if that sounds interesting, there's a link below. I invite you to check it out. Remember, if you're a solopreneur doing things like this, you want to have your brand voice guide in there, customer avatar, your product details, your writing voice constraints, for example. And this will mean you no longer have to re-explain everything. You'll have a consistent voice and styles and whatever you're generating. And this context will compound because you can keep updating your ClaudeMD as your business grows. So this is a living and evolving project. This allows us to iterate. In the AI Captains Academy, we talk a lot about intention-driven development, and a big part of that is iteration. You communicate well, you have your workflows in place, and boom, you can just keep creating. Iterate, 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 iterate. See what works. See what doesn't work. See what resonates with people. See what gets them to click that buy button, you know? We've got to be able to iterate, and AI allows us to do this. We can really be strategists now because we can implement so fast and effectively. So finally, before we move forward, some pro tips for ClaudeMD. Like I did, drag your existing documentation in there. Okay, the idea is to synthesize it and consolidate all the important stuff into your ClaudeMD. Sometimes it's in the .claude folder, but sometimes it's not. In fact, I don't think it actually needs to be in a .claude folder. I haven't seen that in lately, but it should work either way in my experience. Okay, so now let's create our first skill. This process is going to look like this. First, we document what we need, step by step. How does it work? Then we're going to tell Claude to turn this into a skill, basically. And then we're going to add it to our ClaudeMD so it can be triggered at any time. So our behavioral context knows that these skills exist, and if we need it, then we pull all that data, all that how-to, into the conversation to do it. So I'll start a new conversation in Claude Code, and right now, because I already have this other folder that I showed you, all this stuff going on, I have asked Claude what inside ClaudeMD would be better as skills? And maybe you're in a similar situation. You have a great ClaudeMD file, but you're just learning about skills like me. Ask Claude, based on your ClaudeMD, what would be better off as skills to save context and increase focus and output quality, right? So here we go. I got 6 skills here. And it looks like some of these skills already exist. I actually have multiple presentation generator skills. So I'm going to go ahead and create those so we have those skills. But what if you don't have anything yet? Well, that's okay, because we're going to do it right now. Let's imagine we're going to launch a product. What do we need first? We need a position. What's the offer? Who's the audience? Then we need a landing page with copy that will convert. We're going to need a lead magnet to capture leads. Then we're going to do a 5-day email sequence to build trust. And then we are going to create social posts and hooks that we can test out. So this is all going to be one skill. So here's what I'm going to prompt. I want to create a project level skill for new product launches. The workflow will look like this. 1, position, define audience and offer. 2, landing page with effective sales copy. 3, lead magnet, PDF or infographic or YouTube script or any kind of information-based asset. Because who knows, every product might have a different lead magnet. 5-day email sequence to nurture the lead. 5 social posts with at least 10 hooks to test. Now, I'm going to go to plan mode. I'm going to say, tell me how you would create this skill workflow. Should each of these steps be its own skill? Every skill will need to be on brand based on ClaudeMD. So we've got our ClaudeMD, right? That has all the brand stuff, all the brand context. So we want to make sure every skill is going to use that context because the skill doesn't need to have all this stuff in it. What if you have multiple brands? What if you have multiple projects? You don't need the same style all the time. So we're going to shoot that off. And now this is where AI really becomes our collaboration partner. Because I'm like, okay, would be a great workflow, right? It'd be a lovely workflow for what I do. But I'm not sure the best way to go about this. Should this be one skill or multiple? So I'll ask Claude, what do you think? And that kind of hesitation also slows Claude Code down from just building, because if it doesn't know exactly what you want, it's probably going to build stuff wrong. So by having that hesitation in there and going into plan mode and saying, does this look like a good plan? Then this helps slow Claude down, which means it'll do a better job. Okay, now this is good. We're going through a problem here because right now Claude Code doesn't even know what its own skills are. So I actually did this before. I didn't have this problem, so that's interesting. I'm just going to look for Claude Skills. I'm going to find the documentation from Claude. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to say, these are how Claude Skills work. So as that's running, I'll show you what I've had running simultaneously, which is converting all my ClaudeMD bloat into its own skills. So here we go. We see in the .claude folder, we have skills now for generating the images, emails, etc. And it's following the right format. And now we have skills. So if I were to start a new chat as an example, write an email sequence welcoming new users to the AI Captains Academy. Now let's see what happens here. Now look, it's calling the skill. The skill is email sequence. Here it is, right here in our folder. The arguments, welcome sequence for new AI Captains Academy members. So it's proceeding with the skill now. I could also just do one of these. Email sequence. Oh, whoops. And then I have the command there to just make sure that it's using it. But this is what it will look like when you start using skills. Oh, there we go. It's already started there. Okay, back to the other thing now. Brand new workflows. Where should launch deliverables be saved? So when there's a new product launch, let's do a project folder per launch. How interactive should the workflow be? Guided question and answer. Perfect. So this means I'll work back and forth with Claude Code as we build the product launch. Which lead magnet formats do you create most often? I do create these. Cheat sheets are good. Video, audio scripts, not so much. Yeah, we'll just do those two. Back to this one again. I know it drives some of you guys crazy when I go back and forth, but It is kind of the same thing. So look, these skills now, look. So part of in my brand voice, I mentioned being vulnerable about making mistakes and lessons I've learned. And that is what the beginning of like all these emails is doing. It's telling a story. It's putting in some, asides, just adding some stuff that makes it not look like AI slop. Now, don't get me wrong. I go through here and I edit it after. I never recommend just taking what AI made and posting it. This technique that I'm sharing in this video gives you a very good starting point, but I don't recommend ever just posting it. Always you have a human in the loop to make sure it works, to make sure it's good, to make sure nothing was like snuck in, to make sure nothing was missed. Then you could actually give it your changes and be like, here's what you made, here's what I did to it. Now take some notes and fix this in the skill so it doesn't happen again. Okay, back to over here. We have our plan. So now, if I look through the plan, wow, this is quite the skill. We have 5 phases of a product launch with this skill. All outputs must align with AI Captain's brand guidelines in ClaudeMD. So we put the brand guidelines in ClaudeMD, but then how to do things inside the skill. This is context engineering, ladies and gentlemen, with Claude Code. Okay, so it recommends we just do one skill. So that's interesting. Oh, so we don't lose context. All right, so I wouldn't have thought of this myself, which is why I asked Claude Code, right? So we're going to keep everything in one skill so the context stays good. Now, I don't know how well that's going to pan out. Well, I guess we're going to see. Brand consistency, single source of truth with one skill. We have to duplicate the brand refs in each one, and that also loses more context. Okay, so I'm sold. This is what we should do. One skill for everything. Then it's going to reference each of these files: positioning, landing page, lead magnets, email sequence, social hooks. Each of these, it has its own phase document to make sure we do it right. It's already got a lot of what we're going to need in the ClaudeMD file. And then this is his plan for making it. Email sequence framework. And this is all just a template here. All right, let's do it. So I'm going to let that build, and then we'll come back and we'll test it out. Okay, so it's finished. As you can see, I left the VS Code extension because something just froze and the conversation disappeared. Fortunately, I can run Claude Code in the command line and still have the conversation to finish the job. So it finished. And now, let's see, if I just run launch, this skill should be used when creating a new product launch. It blah, blah, blah. So if we were to actually see what that metadata says, I'm going to come up here and we see .Claude skills launch here, ClaudeMD. Okay, this skill should be used when creating a new product launch. It guides through a 5-phase workflow covering positioning, landing page copy, lead magnet creation, 5-day email sequence, and social hooks. So it follows the 5 phases. All deliverables saved to a dedicated launch folder. Brand integration. The skill integrates with the project's ClaudeMD file. And then for each phase, it's going to reference these files in this references folder, which is also in the .Claude, the hidden folder. The hidden folder of our project. Email sequence. My normal workflow isn't to go through it right now. It's to test it out and then see what I would do differently. And then once again, show it my changes to its results and be like, okay, this is how I would make it better. Please adjust your rules for that. And those rules are either going to be here in the ClaudeMD reference files or in Claude.md. So we see ClaudeMD. It has all the instructions for what to do following our 5-phase product launch workflow. So if I open up the terminal again, let's just start it brand new conversation, close everything. All right, so clear, new conversation. Let's run launch. Let's see what happens. I'll help you create a complete product launch. So it knows. It reads that metadata here in the ClaudeMD. This skill should be used when creating a new product launch. And then we triggered it with the /launch. That command, this thing, we triggered that. But I could also just say, let's launch a product, right? And then we'd start going through it. So, phase 1, positioning. To create your launch assets, please answer this question. What is the project name? What is the product name? What problem does it solve? Okay. So let's just raw dog this, huh? What is the product name? Let's call it AI Captain's Academy. 2, what problem does it solve? AI, especially agentic AI, can be overwhelming when just getting started. AI Captains simplifies it. 3, which avatar is this for? Let's say this is for all of them. What is the core transformation? Before, AI no AI stack or understanding. After, full understanding of and foundations for using agentic AI for your business. Confidence. What are the key deliverables? Knowledge and practical exercises building real assets with AI. What is the price point and the format? I don't know. I think right now, let's just give it a YOLO price for now. Let's just say it's $99. Actually, let's just say the tripwire, right? $39 intro course. So now this skill is just going to walk me through step by step. So that's the positioning, and now it's going to add a folder as the skill recommends. Inside launches, it's making a new folder called AI Captain's Academy, which is the launch. Okay, so now we have our positioning file. Proceed. It's asking me if I want to make any changes here. If I look in here, positioning document, but I'm sure that's good because most of that was all in my original documentation anyway. So if I had no brand, then I could come up with my own style guide. If you've never used a style guide generator, just Google it, and there's so many. One I like that I've been using for like 15 years is at Peloton.com. Shout out. But you just choose the colors you like, what relationship to its subcolors, the triad, the tetrad, adjacent colors, whatever. And then you can get all that, right? So you just take all that and you can pop that into a new ClaudeMD, give it a name, and then you could literally just create any project you want with Claude Code here, with the rules. Sections included, hero with main hook. Okay. It created the landing page copy here. Cool. Next up, let's do a checklist for the lead magnet. And what I really like about this is how it's walking me through it. That skill knows how to guide me, and I didn't have to prompt it. It's just guiding me through. All right, so now it's not even asking me, and it's just straight up writing the email sequence, which is cool. What I mentioned earlier, intention-driven development, I'm happy to give it the base information that it needs. But ideally, it has most of the context already in the system, in ClaudeMD and Claude Skills for the process, and it can just do it. Because what I'm after is iteration. So it does this first draft, and then I'll fix it. Then we'll go back and forth again and fix it. We'll refine, polish, perfect, put it out there. It'll never be perfect, actually. I shouldn't say that. We put it out there, we see if it works, and then we keep going. And how fast we can iterate all this is what makes this special. So if you create the right Claude Skills, and you have a really good ClaudeMD file, and your context engineering is on point, then you could automate everything that you do in your whole entire business. All right, it's done. And now it's just creating a summary, and we have the whole launch here inside of this folder. Pretty neat. I can delete these old files from the beginning because that's all now in ClaudeMD. All right. So now we have that whole launch campaign done as a skill. Pretty cool, right? So now I'm not going to make a skill for it, but let's clear this. And let's just say, take the landing page, that copy, create an on-brand sales page for this offer. And let's see what happens. Now, ideally, we do make a skill for this. So we say, this is how I like my landing pages, vanilla JavaScript and basic HTML. Now, you've seen everything I've been doing here up until this point. There is no file already made. Everything, here it is, sales page.html. I will open this on my browser now. Cool, right? So it's got my logo in there. It's got the right fonts. It's got the pain points. And it's just looking like really solid copy. Once again, I fed it the context. I know it's what I want. I can obviously spice this up. It's a first draft. I can add images. I can make it better, but pretty good for a first try, right? Let's just finish up. What else do we need to do? Well, we've got the email sequence already written. Email number 1, subject line. Then here's the email, a little PS. CTAs, everything here. Lead magnet is this checklist, which I could then say to Claude in a new conversation, create an on-brand PDF from this lead magnet. And one other thing I want to make as well, which I might do at the same time as this is going, because I'm crazy like that. I'll start a new Claude Code window, and I'll say create an email capture landing page for the lead magnet. We'll drag that in there with the copy found on landing page.md. So now you can see how very easily you can have multiple Claude Code automation processes going on at the same time. I've got 2 here. Sometimes I've got 4, believe it or not. And the $20 Claude Pro plan quickly becomes $100 a month. And then when you're really grinding, it becomes a $200 a month plan. And it's still much cheaper than actually, I mean, I could spend $200 in a day. I've probably spent $200 already if I were to use traditional API credits on any platform, not just Anthropic. But because of the Claude Max plan, I'm actually getting a really good deal. For $200 a month, I'm getting everything done. Cheaper than a VA. Okay, so it made this little PDF. You know, not bad. I don't have my fonts in here, and it doesn't have images yet. But look at this. It made this little PDF here. Really not bad for one-shotting this stuff. So now we got the landing page for the checklist for the lead magnet right here. So here we go with just a simple prompt. It generated this for me. Now there's a little formatting issue here, but not a huge thing to fix. Just a little back and forth. Get your free checklist. I can connect that straight to my ConvertKit form. And there you go. An on-brand sales page. Now, how perfect would this be if I had this great idea for a quick product and I want to test it out? Boom. In just like 20, 30 minutes, if the context is already ready, I can make the first drafts and iterate, actually make the first few drafts for the top of this funnel. Amazing. The next step would naturally be to put the email sequence into your email provider, MailerLite or ConvertKit or MailChimp or whatever you use, and then make content with the social hooks, right? So we see where this is going, and we've got our PDF, we've got our sales pages. Pretty incredible. So what are our key takeaways? Claude Code Skills. ClaudeMD is our business brain. Every minute invested into your ClaudeMD will pay you dividends across every future task. It will save you so much time. Not to mention, your output quality is going to be incredible. Skills equal automation. Anything you do more than twice should become a skill. Really, anything you find yourself doing often, turn it into a skill. It doesn't have to be fancy. If it's a Claude Code skill, it can do it. Vibe coding means iteration. And vibe coding doesn't have to mean code. It doesn't have to mean like crazy apps. It can just mean making a little sales page like we just did, making a landing page, making a lead magnet, okay? This is conversation and refinement over and over again. It's not one-shot magic, though even though we just saw the one-shot really wasn't that bad. I still now have to go through and refine. That's the next step that I'm not going to be showing in this video. Local is better than global. So you can put skills in your global Claude folders, but to be truthful, if you're working on multiple things and you use Claude Code a lot, that is going to mess up your context. You're going to generate things for one project in the brand style guide of another project, and you're like, oh, we got to redo that. And believe me, that's how I got started, and it was the wrong decision. So you want to make sure all of your skills are here in the local project you're going to need it for. And remember, you can recycle these. You can drag these into another workspace for another project, right? And then modify them accordingly. So here's your homework, which you don't have to do. It's not real homework, but create your ClaudeMD. Just try it out. And leave a comment below. Let me know how it goes. This is a real game changer, and I know it can be a little hard to wrap your head around it, but I hope this video was helpful because it was supposed to be. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're interested in learning about agentic AI, because that's what this channel is all about. And I appreciate you leaving a comment. Let me know what you're using ClaudeMD and Claude Skills for. What are you building? I always like hearing new, inspiring stories from people that are harnessing this technology in creative ways. So thanks for letting me know in the comments. Happy building, and I'll see you in another video.